Good morning, folks. Thankful to the good Lord for having permitted us to live through another week to come back to welcome you once more to Renfro Valley, Kentucky. This is John Ladd telling you how glad we are to have you with us, whether in person or by radio. And maybe this would be a good time to tell you how glad we've been to notice a very apparent upswing in our mail in recent weeks. We're always glad to hear from you, but your letters are all the more welcome on these long winter days and nights when we don't have much to do except just to read and answer mail, and it's really been coming in. All our boys and girls on the program asked me to tell you this, and they join me now as I say to one and all, welcome to the Renfro Valley Gathering. The Battle of the Groundhogs is on again. Not the groundhogs, really, but the two schools of thought on the official date for Groundhog Day. Now, those who hold for February the 2nd consider the matter closed, but those who lean towards February the 22nd are yet to be heard from. All we know for sure about the weather here in Renfro Valley is that it's been real winter, and it still is. Now, Miss Bess, the chord, please, ma'am, for our opening hymn, The Beautiful River.
Shall we gather at the river where bright angels feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. There we reach the shining river, laid we every burden down. Grace our spirits will deliver and provide a robe and crown. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God.
Well, you who have your February issue of the Renfro Valley Bugle already, and I guess that's most of you, will have noticed by now our account of some of the much appreciated donations to both the Pioneer Museum and the Horse-Drawn Vehicle exhibit. I'm sorry we couldn't include more names in this account, but we'll try to get many more of them in a similar story in the March issue and further issues as long as such donations come in. And before I mention the what is it for the February issue, let me say that we're making every effort to get the Bugle through the mailing room as quickly as possible. As we are now operating, it takes from a week to 10 days after publication to get all copies in the mail, giving those who are on the first mailing a decided advantage over those who are in the last to get their Bugle. Now, if our folder ever gets in, and if it actually works, as so many of us doubt that it will, we should be able to get the last Bugle in the mail within 3 days from the time the first one goes out, maybe sooner. Anyway, that's something to look forward to. Since many of you who will be taking a stab at identifying the February what is it haven't gotten your letters in yet, we won't mention what it is this morning to give everybody a chance. So you go ahead, maybe you'll know what the answer is. I'm not sure that I do yet, but try it anyway. And now the farmer sister.
Here I labor and toil as I look for a home, just an humble abode among men, while in heaven a mansion is waiting for me, and a gentle voice
Miss Bess got the surprise of her life when she came in this morning. No, it wasn't a new organ. It just looked like a new one. Last week, Shorty Moore and Emmy Roberts and myself gave this old organ such an overhauling that it's never had before. When we got through with the repairing, Shorty and Emmy drenched the thing in furniture polish and shined it up like a pair of Sunday shoes. Now, if it'll just play as good as it looks, Miss Bess, you'll be all right for the background for this announcement. Heading our birthday list this morning is Dr. Haggard of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who's passed his 104th year and who practiced medicine until past his 90th year. Ms. Anna Atkins of Wooster, Ohio, is 100. In addition to raising 8 children of her own, she became stepmother to 7 others later in life. Flora Hodges, Ionia, Michigan, is 98. Jenny Connolly, Nashville, Michigan, 98. Mary Clarissa Barry Pointer, Lansing, Michigan, 97. The organ tune being played now is for her. Ms. Lucy Cook of the IOOF Home, Northfield, Minnesota, 95. Clyde McCrary, New Philadelphia, Ohio, 95. Ernest Pettifor, Spring Arbor, Michigan, 94. Mrs. Ann Whaley, Autumn Manor Convalescent Home, Fayette, Ohio, 93. Samuel A. Hodson of Greensburg, Indiana, 92. Ms. Beulah Boyd, Columbia City, Indiana, but at present in Whitley County Hospital with a broken hip, is also 92. Mrs. May Steinbrink of Flint, Michigan, is 91. Mrs. Maud Masters, Montgomery, Michigan, 90. And a faithful reader of the Renfro Valley Bugle, tell us. Mrs. Belle Pennington, Krypton, Kentucky, is 90. Ms. Etta Barnes, McClure, Ohio, 90. Eva Conklin of Mission, Kansas, 90. And she's an old-time Dulcimer player, they tell us. Everett Gosden of Little Rock, Arkansas, is 90. Ms. Hortense Paget, Case Beer of Louisville, Kentucky, is 89. Ms. Bertha Converse, South Miami, Florida, 89. Ms. Cinna Wasson, Scholars of Dubuque, Louisiana, is 86. And our friend Dr. Carter of Pleasureville, Kentucky, 81. Robert R. Sutton, Lagooty, Indiana, and Gordon McKenzie of Homer, Louisiana, each 80. Wedding anniversaries will come later. Well, again, it's time of the year for the anniversary of the settlement of Renfro Valley, and while it may not rate as an important date to the rest of the world, it means something to us here in the valley. I hope you won't mind if we paid a little attention this morning. In February 1946, just 15 years ago, we dedicated on the gathering a marker erected to John and Lula Renfro, who occupied the first cabin built by white men here in what later became the Renfro Valley settlement. Many of you may recall that the marker was paid for by 10-cent donations from school children. The first dollar coming in from 10 boys in the Collier School for Boys at St. Petersburg, Florida. When 500 dimes had been received, we returned the rest of the money as it didn't take any more. This was a simple, inexpensive marker cut from native stone, and the only cost was setting it up and carving on it in memory of John and Lula Renfro, who in 1791 built the first log cabin in the valley which bears their name. As we explained at that time, this stone doesn't mark the actual resting place of these old pioneers. With the help of Uncle Johnny Coffey, then in his 90th year, I had been able to find their unmarked graves further down the valley, near the cabin to which they had moved in the latter years of their lives. Uncle Johnny remembered that as a boy he had seen the rough, unlettered markers tossed into a fence corner, and the graves had been plowed under by an unfeeling farmer. We found the stones, from which he soon located the sunken spots representing their graves. They were in such an inaccessible spot that few people ever passed that way. Well, we didn't want to disturb their sleep, but we did want people to know about them. So we set up the marker here in the old Renfro Valley burying ground near the Redbud Schoolhouse, where many of their old neighbors who came later are at rest. At the dedication, Jerry and Elsie Barron sang a special song, and I read a poem called Kentucky Pioneers, written by Taylor P. Gabbard of Berea College. Russ and Joe will do the song this morning.
Over the mountain forbidding and grim came a pioneer band, pushing along through the wilderness dim into the promised land. And there were 2 of the early to come over the wilderness trail, who found the valley and made it their home, and their last long resting place. Sleep, sleep, O pioneer, through the long ages to come. Sleep, sleep so sweetly here in the valley you call your home.
For those who first made homes among these hills, within the virgin forest, dark and lone, our hearts with loving admiration fills, and proudly still we claim them as our own. Brave men and women of a sturdy race, they met the dangers of a homeless land and made the wilderness their dwelling place, where only dauntless courage dared to stand. In thought and deed, their active lives disclose those qualities which mark the good and true, within whose aims and purposes reposed a force the savage wilds could not subdue. Now on the hills and in the vales they lie, and silently death's endless vigils keep. Tread softly here, O stranger passing by, let naught disturb their long and dreamless sleep.
Sleep, sleep, O pioneer, through the long ages to come. Sleep, sleep so sweetly here in the valley you call your home.
Until the coming of John Renfro and his neighbor and my ancestor, John Lavender, the valley had recorded the footprints of only an occasional long hunter or early explorer. Indians were here, of course, or passed through frequently, as evidenced by established battlegrounds, one at the side of the big show barn where arrowheads are still to be picked up, and another on the main tributary of Renfro Creek, Shawnee Run, named for a camp of Shawnee Indians that were attacked and defeated there not long before Renfro came through it on his way to explore the main valley. The Wilderness Road was just beginning as a footpath through the head of the valley, branching off as it did from the main travel trace which went around by way of Skaggs's Creek to Dix River, near where Broadhead, Kentucky now stands. Langford Station was on this new road, the main reason for its coming this way, I believe. Langford Station, with the old log house still standing in Mount Vernon nearby, one of the oldest log houses in Kentucky and among the oldest of any kind. As I brought out in my book, Renfro Valley Then and Now, an uncle of John Renfro, James Renfro, had been among the first land speculators in the wilderness, holding vast grants of land in and around the valley. And it was from him that John and Lulu acquired their holdings. James had been in the forefront of the great number of restless adventurers, hunters, traders, and land seekers that had pushed through Cumberland Gap in that great surge of migration after the Revolutionary War, when the cry on every lip was, "Ho for Kentucky, the promised land of the New West."